This is Dunc and Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
LSU Pro Day yesterday. The only head coach I saw that at least I recognize, maybe some newbie faces that I don't know were there, but Mike Tomlin was there. But, of course, the Saints brass were all there. Sean Payton was not, but Mickey Loomis, Jeff Ireland. Bradford Banta, the special teams coach, was also there. But interesting day, I'd say, on the field for some prospects. I think Dante Jackson continued to do himself some favors. He ran well. He looked good in the DB drills. DJ Shark actually helped Danny Etling look good because he made some wild receptions to save Danny Etling from some incomplete passes and wowed the crowd a little bit. Russell Gage ran well. You had some other guys who performed well, but a lot of the eyes were on Arden Key yesterday, and that's what I went up there specifically to write about. Knowing that the Saints had some interest in him, and the Saints, as you'll hear here in a second, the Saints have shown plenty of interest in him, according to Arden Key. But the big story is, who is Arden Key at this point? He's talking about wanting to get the truth out to NFL teams and be truthful, but what is the truth about this prospect right now? And I put in my column, look, sometimes the truth hurts. Yeah, you could say all these things and be truthful to teams, but still, they could still take into account, we're not willing to take a risk on you. And then on the field, weight has fluctuated from 238 to 280 to 250. It's a meandering path right now for Arden Key, who was once considered, say, a year ago, Jeff, as you remember, top 10, top 5 type pick in some of these mock drafts and from some of these guys who studied the tape ins and out more than you and me do.
Yeah, and also, it's really plummeted in this last year. An NFL Draft Scout now has him as a second-round grade, not even a first-round grade, just a solid second-round grade. That's troubling because that's a lot of money. That's an extra year of contract when you get drafted in the first round, an extra year of earning power. And this is a guy that has first-round talent at a premium position. I mean, what Arden Key can do is highly valued at the NFL level, but all these red flags have caused enough teams to be leery of drafting him and investing a first-round pick in a guy that you don't know what you're going to get, frankly. And we've seen over and over. I mean, we brought up Reuben Foster on the program this week. You invest a first-round pick in a guy, you got to have availability. Are you going to be able to depend on him? Is he going to be reliable? And that's the question marks people have when you start investing millions of dollars.
Someone like Randy Gregory, remember his name too? He was once thought of as like a top 10 pick, top 5 pick, and he's been suspended for a year. He's trying to get back into the league, so these issues come up. But instead of just chopping it up and us dissecting it, because Arden was just kind of asked left and right about all these questions, we're just going to play. It's about 6 minutes, so kind of hang in there. And you'll hear Arden Key speak en masse to LSU media for the first time since the end of his sophomore season. So here's Arden Key at yesterday's LSU Pro Day.
Felt great. Felt like I was in shape. I showed them speed, flexibility, power, flipping the hips, athletic. I showed them the sophomore Arden Key.
Was there a number you were shooting for on the 40-yard dash? How did you feel like that went?
4.6, 4.7. Some people caught me at a 4.7. But I ain't putting no pressure on it. It's about the 10-yard split. I mean, in the 40, that's not a football realistic thing. I'm not running 40 yards down the field in a straight line. So, it plays a role.
Physically, you feeling comfortable where you are? Or is it still going to be a little bit more work for you as you get towards drafting?
Oh, yeah. Staying in shape, making sure I'm good for a rookie OTA. I'm planning to get my weight back up to 250. 3 weeks after the combine, I was 250. Brought it back down to 140, and now I'm putting the weight back up and then making sure it's great weight.
But you said you felt like your sophomore self. What percentage of yourself do you feel like you were this past year?
Around Ole Miss, I was getting towards 70% of it, 80% there. Alabama was about 80, 85, so I never got to the full 100.
It's been a lot of feedback you've been getting from NFL teams over the last few months.
where was I on my leave of absence? How did I get all the weight? Things of that sort. How much I weigh now? Can I still pass rush? You know, things of that sort. Just little things, but most of it is my leave of absence.
How did you handle those difficult questions? You know, what did you tell them?
I wasn't difficult. I just told them the truth, and that was it.
Do you think they've been pleased with the way you've kind of handled this situation?
Oh yeah, a lot of scouts viewed me differently before meeting me. And when I met them and told them the truth, the full honest truth, and I took full responsibility of those things, then now they look at me in a different eye.
How frustrating is it for you for people to question your commitment to football?
Oh, it's very frustrating. But now I just don't look in the media. Just let the flow. Just leave it up in guys' hands. Make sure I do everything I'm supposed to do, and the chips fall where they fall.
What do you feel comfortable with as maybe a 4-3 end or a 3-4 outside linebacker? What's your comfort level in any of those spots?
A 4-3. I like my hand in the dirt. But I play 3-4 because I can play it. Things that I can drop. I'm athletic enough to drop. And then I can rush, of course. So, but 4-3 is my primary.
What did keep you out last season?
No problem.
Coach O mentioned this week, though, that he feels convinced that you're back to yourself.
Oh, yeah.
What have y'all's talks been like together, and what type of resource has he been to be able to lean on?
Somebody I can talk to. Somebody, if I'm going through something, I can pick up the phone and call him on whatever I'm going through. We can talk it out, talk about life situations. We rarely talk about football. Only time we talk about football is like coming in here and football, but outside of this, everything life situations and things of that sort. What can I do better?
What interest has Saints given you?
Crazy interest.
Crazy?
Yeah.
Is that good?
Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah. Who that?
Y'all been able to have a couple different meetings? How many times have you met?
I met with them at the combine, then I just met with them yesterday at a dinner. Meet with them Thursday. I meet with them. They come out here for a private workout, then I fly down to 18.
You say that's one of the more interested teams in here right now?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. As far as meeting with them, yeah.
Are you feeling anybody who drafts who's going to get a steal because they don't know what you said to teams and teams?
Oh yeah, those who I didn't talk to, who I haven't spoken to, they might miss out. But speaking of some of these these guys that's in the NFL, they say the ones that don't speak to you will pick you up. So, but whoever pick me up, then they gonna have a guy who, if they need a pass rusher, I'm the problem solver. And those who didn't pick me up and pass me over, shame on them.
Arden, why did you gain so much weight? Are you trying to bulk up?
Yeah, trying to bulk up, got up to 250, and then I'm like, okay, this is good weight. And then I just lost it or whatnot. So lost it. Then I had shoulder surgery, of course. Sat down for a while. I got up to about 270, 280, and trying to bring it back down. Mid-spring, mid-summer. Now I'm trying to get in shape and things that's what during the season. And that's why a lot of bad film on tape.
Your shoulder surgery, is it kind of like a deal? Trying to decide when to do it? Is it difficult to decide when to get it done?
Yeah, it was difficult, but it's better off getting it done now than later. Got it done. I shouldn't have came back early as I supposed to. I should have waited till my Florida game to come back and be in shape and things of that sort, because we played a low-level team early on in the season.
You play with that previous year?
Oh yeah, I had a shoulder horn.
What's the next couple weeks going to look like for you?
Flying out the team, I go to Cincinnati tomorrow. I'll just be back and forth here in Baton Rouge. The team, I spend like every Sunday here, and I fly right back out to the team and things of that sort. So I'll be on the road a lot.
Mentally, looking back to your sophomore year, I mean, people had you as potentially a top 5, 10, first round selection, pretty much no doubt. I mean, we'll see what happens this year, but to see projections that could have you lower, sliding to a second or third round, is that a hurdle to overcome to be able to get back on the football field and, I guess, block out that noise?
Oh yeah. I was always in the media, looking at the media and things of that sort. Stopped looking at it, and then after the combine, I felt more confident talking to these teams and they having a different eye on me. Because before then, nobody knew what was going on, so everybody throw their 2 cents in on what they think went down. But talked to them, and after the combine, I felt confident in what I did.
Arden actually later added that maybe someday he'd feel comfortable revealing publicly why he left the team and some of the issues that he dealt with in his absence. But Me, honestly, look, I know LSU fans, they probably aren't going to let this go just because they feel like, what the heck happened, and he's one of the best players, and all of a sudden he's gone, lost, forgotten, whatever. But he doesn't owe it to the public at this point. It doesn't matter. If he wants to do it and wants to have people better understand what happened, that's great. And Ed Ogeron said on Tuesday night when he spoke to the media that he guided Arden to be as truthful as he could and tell all the truth, and it sounds like that's what he's done. But, as I wrote in my column, and look, the truth sometimes hurts. It could hurt you in your draft stock and hurt you in your pocketbook, even though you're truthful, and that's good because if someone finds something else out, then your stock can drop even further. Yet, he's got an uphill battle if he wants to convince teams he could be a first-round pick, even an early second-round pick. He's still got an uphill battle.
Well, he's got to be honest to teams when he speaks to them in his private meetings. There's no doubt. He and his representation have to let teams know, otherwise they're going to stay away. And I think he probably has. And eventually whatever it was is going to come out. And I think it's fine if he wants to keep it to himself as long as he lets the teams know, because no one's going to invest the kind of money and draft pick capital into a player at this stage if he's not being forthcoming. No way.
I would agree.
Yeah, and I mean, what I find interesting specifically about this more than anything is that, for him, and I really liked how you put it yesterday about, really Arden Key and teams searching to find his truth, because honestly, at this point, what do you have to lose? Like, by telling teams specifically in private meetings what really happened, I'm not surprised that he's going around that he's being able to tell people that teams that had one idea of him before he walked in the room and then walked out changed, because and you heard it in the interview, that's the kind of kid that Arden is. Like, he has a very, not necessarily lighthearted, but he has a very jovial nature about him sometimes. He's very engaging. He can be very, very charming. He's that kind of guy. Then when he gets on the field, he knows what he has to do. And whenever, you're right, whenever he decides to tell his full story, which hopefully at some point he will be able to do because he'll be able to get out far enough past it, that in itself is another notch that he can use to be able to help somebody else that may be in his situation right now. Because the biggest thing for me is, if you want to talk about teams wanting to do their due diligence, we don't talk about teams doing their due diligence on Alden Smith. We don't talk about that guy. We don't talk about people doing their due diligence before he came out.
Who drafted Alden Smith?
The Raiders.
The Raiders? Or was it the 49ers?
I was the 49ers first, and then he was on the Raiders.
Well.
Or Josh Gordon. Or guys like that.
Well, Josh Gordon wasn't drafted highly. Alden Smith is a total blow up in your face kind of a guy. But in that same draft, I mentioned in my column Daquan Bowers, and it wasn't the same issues that Arden Key had, but people thought of him as a big-time, maybe number one overall pick in the 2011 draft, and the injury, it dropped him, and Arden's kind of having to deal with the same drop in as far as perception goes.
Alden Smith was the 7th pick overall by the 49ers in 2011. And you can't afford to invest something like that in a player that becomes unreliable and can't see the field. I mean, that's why when we make some of these mock drafts, I would rather have a Sam Hubbard, assuming a safe player that's going to be productive and is going to be there for you every year, than shooting for the moon on an Alden Smith who's a more talented player but is not going to be producing for you on the field. That's what personnel directors have to weigh all the time.
Same thing with an Arden Key here. I mean, is Arden Key probably more talented skill-wise than maybe a Sam Hubbard? I'm sure. But what do you get with the kid? So I think that's the uphill battle he's going to be facing. All right, let's take a break right here on the show. We got a little bit of interesting Saints news. Our own Josh Katzenstein reporting some tidbits. We'll bring you that after the break. We'll also hear from Mickey Loomis. Of course, they're neck deep in the draft process and also apparently still scouring around for some free agents. So we'll bring you all of that. Don't forget, top 11 o'clock hour, Todd Masson. We'll talk some outdoors from NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. 11:30, Bobby Roode, WWE superstar, going to be wrestling in his first WrestleMania. That's a huge event for him and his wrestling career. And, of course, WrestleMania taking over New Orleans. So we'll talk about that. So coming back, Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. Dunc and Holder.